Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. The market is giving us some really good information here today. So make sure you pay attention and get through all this information on the video. Play it at 1.25 or 1.5 speed so you can get all of the information. Is so important. I think it's trying to tell us something. I don't think that triangle is necessarily the scenario at this point, but I do imagine we get a 5-wave move down. All right, we do have that setup in play right now, and a really bullish looking day, but not so fast. Okay, so I did make a video for the $4.99 members on some cycles on the Mag 7, the Magnificent 7 stocks, and they all point to lower prices, really. And not necessarily that every single one of them has to make a new low, but they're at least telling us not so fast. We're not as bullish as you think. Okay, so we're doing this video at about noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to get these videos intraday so you don't miss out on something that you may have not seen, then consider becoming a 99-cent a month YouTube member. All right, I think there's a lot of value in that, and it just helps support the channel so I can make these videos often, every single day. Okay, so let's jump into it. We have SPX on the daily time frame. We're looking at, so far, right at the downtrend line here. Not perfect. I know it's not, it never has to be perfect. There's always a zone. And when price was up here pressing against the downtrend line, and we'll look at the Qs as well, I said to them, I said, we're still making a lower high, okay? And we're going to look at the Mag 7 ETF as well. It's just been so clean and working out for us. So, so far a lower high, almost. So I'm sure I'll see somewhere on X a triple top or something like that. And I don't think that's the case. I think we're setting up that this is a flat pattern and this is a 1-2 setup. Okay, so we'll look at that again when we get to the 65, but let's go ahead and we're still in a downtrend. The moving averages. Now, this is what it needs to be held for a bullish situation, right? We're above the 8 EMA, which is going sideways. The 20 moving average, which is headed lower, not quite holding it. Let's see if price closes below or above it. And I know that does happen. They get you all worked up. Here, the 20 moving average, you're above it. You're above it for 3 days in this case. And so, it just has to hold. And price has to stabilize. So at this point, if I had to label the market, I would say if it's in firm, I think it's in a firm position. Although I do think the setup is lower. Anything could happen if price holds on to this 8 EMA. Maybe we pull back here and form some sort of pattern and breaks the downtrend. That would be a really good sign. So the check marks for getting above the 8 EMA. I don't know about the 20 yet. And then we need to get a new high here, and especially over this weekly high right here. All right, sorry, I had to pause the video. The market's going down a little bit further here. I had to throw some sell positions, some sell trades. Anyway, the washer and dryer was going, couldn't hear. So we have these important resistance here as well, 5,400. And then this is a solid area for support as well. There is a volume shelf there in its former resistance and support. So if we do break down from here, then we should see a test of the lows and beyond at that point. And I would imagine that this would look like a 1, 2, 3 into the lows, bounce for 4, and then new lows as 5, something like that, if that is to play out. All right, let's look at some more indicators. I'm calling oscillator overbought here. And so we got to that overbought territory. That's what gave us the pop here. Breadth is looking pretty darn good. Let's see if we hold this level here at 5250 to 5200. And we'll have to see breadth kind of hold this this trend to the upside as well. Okay. On here, it looks like kind of like a 5-wave move up, huh? And so if price holds above this neutral point and continues to go higher and oscillate above, that would be a really good sign there. Now, it doesn't have to do that. It can come all the way down here and just be a pullback. For example, if you're in an uptrend and we're starting an uptrend, you get to that oversold or overbought territory, you pull back and just bounce off of that oversold and then continue with the trend, okay? So you can just continue to oscillate back and forth. But if this is to be bearish, we're probably going to see real deep oversold, plus eventually some positive divergence in there. And that's what really I've been looking for this whole time. Love to see a new low with this MACD. That's why we have the placeholder here. You know, nothing to see here. We have a downtrend with the RSI, but I want to see this curl back over and get a positive divergence, even if it doesn't actually curl back over. But if we drop significantly, get a new low, and this is still a higher low, that would be a beautiful setup. And so same thing with the slow stoke. This is oscillating down. It looks like it wants to cross over with this move here, but that could just be a whipsaw. So we'll check that again tomorrow. Looking at the DMARC, what do we have here? Nothing. And 13 exhaustion. You know, maybe that gave us the pop here, and we're starting with a 1 count up here. We'll keep track of that. The awesome oscillator, green bar. Not a whole lot to see here. I'd love to see positive divergence. You'll see that I've been saying that over and over. Let's go to SPY. SPY with the money flow index. So far, positive divergence. Did it play out already? And then we work our way down for another higher low and maybe a lower low here. That's what we'll check on. Not there yet. Bollinger Band, we made it to the mid band and rejecting off of there. So natural place would be from end to end here. Let's see if we can push the Bollinger Band lower. Now that volume shelf that we were talking about here, we pull back out. So here is the volume shelf I was talking about, where that price action is. We're about the 520 area. So a lot of price action. If we break down from there, this time I think we'll make it down to that 470 zone and clear that entire pocket here. Elliott oscillator, nothing to see here. Not bullish. It's still in bearish territory. All right, any timing? So we're in that timing that we've talked about a few times. Now I think it's looking like we're going to get a high into this time and price relationship. And so I'm going to take these off. I think we're getting our high in. And we have one more day to do so. I'll leave this last one on here just as a reminder. But our next situation will be here at the end of April. All right. Looks like April 30th, May 1st. So we'll see where price is when we get into this point here. Is it lower? Are we down here and we look for a reversal at that point? Or are we actually higher into this cluster here? So that's what we'll pay attention to when we get there. But I think we're getting our high in a pretty bearish bar there so far. Okay. So this is our bullish situation. Yeah, if price holds, we continue to move higher, we stay on top of those moving averages, and then maybe we can work our way up to a wave 5 higher. I'm not gonna ponder on this one until we see some more evidence. And then this is our bearish situation where I think A is probably, A or 1, doesn't matter, is likely not finished, but we're going to see if we make a new low or not. And then we can get our major bounce coming in here, okay, or new highs, right? And let's move over. Well, here's our look, our traditional technical analysis. Expanding wedge here. If we do make a new low, I know this is such a wide territory here, but looking at about 470, make it into there, and then we'll keep an eye on this wedge formation as it expands with the volatility here. We'll eventually, if we do make new lows, then we'll look for this downtrend line here. We might even have another downtrend line to form at that point. But so far, it's a bear flag, and we're back testing and breaking down from here. So if you want to keep it simple, then this was a bear flag, and now we're breaking down in price. Let's go to the Qs. I'm going to get to the Mag 7, so make sure you stick around. We'll do it on the daily and the 65. And we'll also peek at gold just for a second. So here's the Qs. The Qs, what we were pointing out in the members video was when price was above here, I said, hey, it looks really, really bullish. You know, it's very exciting. But I said, if you take away this downtrend line, we're just making lower highs, and so just not so fast. And then I gave about 5 different points, including all the Mag 7, the VIX. There's certain things that I gave on that video that said, hey, just watch out. This doesn't look like it's going to push and go any higher. So that is what we're looking for. We're looking for lower prices to test the lows, and if it does want to make a new low here, we have that beautiful trend line from 2009, the bottom of 2009, and that brings us to about 390 area. SMH, everything's in a downtrend, still in a downtrend. I know we're going back and forth, and we have that huge weekly range that price is just going back and forth in, so it's going to be hard to but I think it'll be pretty obvious when it does break out from that point. Let me just extend this, and again, there's some lower price targets. If we want to go a little bit lower, you have all the way down to 165 if price wants to do so. Here again, we're in that downtrend line. I could draw a little bit better from that point to that point. It's probably touching, but this is good for now. And this looks like a nice little ABC correction. And I do believe IWM looks the most bearish of them. In this, but it looks more clean. You have a 1, 2, 3, possible wave 4 here. So if you took the top of wave 3 to the bottom of wave 3 and through your retracement tool, you could see that that's all IWM did was go back to its 382 right there, which is perfect for wave 4. That's ideal. So our wave 4s, and if we're in a vacuum, if we're looking at IWM and we're getting a rejection as a wave 4, and then we're looking for wave 5 to go down to, it's real pretty. And wave 5 would go down to 165, bottom of this trading range that we were in for over a year. Massive trading range. So we broke down from this top of the range, and it looks like we'll head down here lower in a 5-wave move there. And this will complete our wave 1. Excuse me. And now I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this could be the end of a flat pattern, right? If you look at the rest of the videos that I put out for this, So you're going to see a 5-wave move down here. That's an impulse move. That could be the end, but as we always want to mention, the 5 waves could just be the start of wave 1. So this could be an extension. So we'll look for a new low, and then we'll look for a significant bounce, a very playable bounce to be bullish for a while. And we'll look for a wave 3, much lower prices at that point. DIA. Really good information that Price is giving us today. Okay, and so from here, it could look as a 1, 2, 3, wave 4 into wave 5. Okay, there's prices that could be this zone right here. It looked like unfinished business, and now it's getting we're getting a stronger signal that thesis that will hit down here, these new lows. Now VIX is one of the items I brought about in the members video, and we want to look at 28. I know this channel is broken, so this, you could still be bearish here if you wanted to, and we're against resistance and we're in this channel, but we're holding on to 28. And I think the horizontal levels are much more important than any these pivots and channels and things like that, because especially on the VIX, because there's such a big range inside of there. So I do think this is a bullish falling wedge, and we're going to break out from this possibly tomorrow. But until then, as long as 28 holds, then we should be good to go to the downside on the market. Okay, let's look at the mags. And here's another one of the things that I pointed out in the video, in the member video, was that we're at this beautiful channel. This is just spot on right now, and so it can't help but to look at this over and over. We're at resistance while the Qs look like they're breaking out. We're at perfect resistance here. Again, lower highs, lower lows. And then this Elliott Wave bull bear line that I brought up a couple weeks ago and mentioned it. I'm just mentioning it one more time. This is our bull bear line, so we haven't crossed it yet. Still a lower high in there. As soon as we get above this, that says our wave 4 is done. All right. I know on everything else, the wave 4 is so skewed. You can count it in different ways to make it match, but this is very clean. 1, 2, wave 3, and then wave 4, just like we measured on IWM a few minutes ago. It's beautiful 382. That's all that price did, was get to that 382. And now this is, in my opinion, the start of an ending diagonal. Okay, I don't even need to go over SPY, in my opinion, at this point. It's on the lower time frame, that after looking at this, you have then A, B, C, and you could probably count 5 waves in there, but I think this looks like a 3-wave move for a 1, a wave 2 zigzag, real fast, deep and quick pullback for 2. Then you get a 3-wave move for 3, 4, and 5. So an ending diagonal. And so we have this time frame going into May where we have some cycle lows in, and with this ending diagonal, you're going to see nice big pops and drops. All right. And you see how deep these moves are. They're not going to be just solid impulse moves. And so this next move down will probably test the lows, but get a nice deep wave 4. Okay. And then 5 afterwards. You form an ending diagonal. Wave 3 can't be the shortest, as usual. All right, for the Elliott Wave rules. And we'll look for new lows for wave 5. All right, just a quick glance at gold. Gold, nice reversal here. That is a beautiful thing. We caught that reversal. We're still in some in-out spreads. And I want to emphasize here, I'll post the video for in-out spreads up here at about 19 minutes. And 30 seconds here. The in-out spreads were perfect since we started doing the in-out spreads. I think there was only 5, 6, or 7 trades that we've done already, but they've all hit. Now there's 2 pending, One is which is gold, and very confident that will go through. It's a set it and forget it type play, and also the MJ. MJ is looking pretty good, and I think that will go through in a short period as well. So just, I can't stress enough, it's a boring way to play the market. It's very boring, but that's why it's so consistent. Anyway, watch the video and it'll explain all of what it's good for. Just hitting it out of the park with in-out spreads. I'll let you know when we actually miss one too. I'll mention it in the videos. So here we go with that old megaphone pattern. Right? We try to get back up into it at this point and reject it off of there. Also the horizontal support. Just closed, we actually closed this gap here as an island gap. And that's a fake bar right there. So it wasn't closed before, but we got above it. And so now we're getting a little bit of a bounce. But if we can get above this downtrend line in this megaphone, old megaphone pattern, then we can start to get a lot more confirmation that the bulls are in. They're in it to win it. So we want to see that. I do have a triangle drawn here. You'll see probably on one of the boards here. But this is a bear flag so far, and it hasn't proven otherwise at this point. But it looks like a beautiful flat pattern. So it's sideways. You got your initial wave 1 and an A, B, C for wave 2. It doesn't have to be counted like that. And, if we're doing because we made a new low here, if we're doing an ending diagonal like the Mag 7, that could be an ABC for 1. You get your zigzag for 2 here, and so on and so forth. Moving averages, getting real tight there, did pop above. Let's see if price action can hold above all of those and start to get bullish, and then we can start to change our videos and lean a little bit to more bullish counts. At this point, we only have one that was shown on the daily time frame, and let's go to the MACD, positive yet in neutral zone. So we'll see if this can either cross over or holds up there. I was looking for if we got lower prices, want to see a positive divergence in the future if we start to make new lows. We're oversold here. Again, it has to hold and go above. If we make a new high here, I'm afraid that's going to be some negative divergence, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nothing to actually read. Are we getting an early sell signal? We'll see coming up here tomorrow. DMARC. All right, we got a nice 9 count sell signal, and we sold off from that. Now do we continue higher and start a new count? We'll see, but that was a nice sell going into resistance. Awesome oscillator, pretty neutral here, getting back into bullish territory with this move. Well, again, we'll see if that can hold. Money flow index on the 65-minute, kind of in that neutral point. Is this going to continue to move higher or roll over? We're almost in the middle right now, so nothing to base off of that. Bollinger Bands hit the top. And look at that, overbought, top Bollinger Band, sell signal. That's a pretty good indicator. I think there was Jake Wozniak, something like that, had a video, and so I added into just so I can kind of look at it and copy it, and it's working out. I don't usually use that. I use that with a gold trade as evidence for the gold trade, but might have to start using it a lot more. So volume shelves. It's very hard to see in this. Let me just bring that out. So we have the little shelf here that price held on to yesterday, and we got a pop. But this big cluster, I mean, we know that price action has been doing that. Here's our virgin point of control, and then we're looking for lower prices here in the 470s, maybe 474, all the way down to 470. Qs. Let's zip through these so we can, here at our 200 moving average, rejecting off of there. Let's see if that holds. I don't have that downtrend line drawn, but that's right here at the downtrend line getting rejected. Let's see if price can get back on top of this 200 moving average. That would be very good for the bulls. Let's go to SMH. SMH, again, resistance here, resistance, and kind of triangulating here, so we can, I meant to go on SPY and just, you can almost do it here, but this is more of an equilibrium, like a triangle pattern. Maybe I should do this. So on SPY, if you want to keep yourself a reminder, it's such a busy look here. I went too fast anyway. I didn't do any of these other looks. So let's say we want to get to these higher levels up here, right? And we want to keep our bullish scenario in mind. Then you could draw a nice little ascending triangle here with these highs, all equals highs here. And whoops, and I'll just make them turquoise so they pop out a little bit more. And that would be our ascending triangle set up. So let's see if there's if we can get a higher low here and continue to move in this scenario that we've laid out over and over. This is a little bit more, this is a bearish scenario, but it's a little bit more bullish where we get up to the higher retracements, where this is an A. That we have the B here, which again, you have, it's what makes a market. You know, Elliott Wave is just a look at structure. You'll get 1,000 different ways that people count it. So this could be an A, B, C for a flat pattern into the B wave. And now we're working our way up as I have the 1 here. Maybe we're going to get a 1 here now that we have this information. A 2 here to test this ascending triangle. 3. Start breaking out from the triangle. Maybe back test the triangle here. 4. And maybe get a 5 to end up somewhere here. For a B wave. And then we head lower after that. All right. And the cycles could agree with that as well. You know, we're in the cycle low period, and that's what gave us this pop. Now we're in a rising phase, but the dominant daily is headed lower along with the weekly. So I'm not convinced that we're going to get to these highs, but it's still a scenario we have to keep in mind. Here's what happens if we go directly, now that we have this situation panned out. You see how I had this triangle here before, and it looks like it wants to hold there. That's not giving us any good information, so I'm going to take this out. And at this point, that could be your wave 1, or this could be, doesn't really matter to me. This is a nice little zigzag, so that could be it. This could be an ABC for a 1, ABC for 2, and then we're working on wave 3. We'll get a bounce towards the lows. You typically get a reaction at lows 4 and 5. So this is what I think is happening, unless or until we break the levels that we were talking about above, like this 200 moving average and the downtrend line and such. If we start getting above those, then obviously this is starting to get less probable. And if we make a new high here, that can't be a wave 2, right? Okay, so Elliott Wave doesn't allow that. So that might be your stop loss here is right at 546.33. You could set an alert there. You make a new high. That negates this plan altogether. All right, so our triangle, we're going to take this one off because that technically you could. I'm sure I could count it some way, but it'd be bigger triangle here, a lot more steep. And that again would end up being like an ascending triangle. But ascending triangles, I think they only play out something like 60% of the time, something like that. So I'll leave this one on just in case, but this would be an A, B, C, and this would be a big triangle. So the C, so A wave, and then we're still in B if that's the case. This is looking less probable. That's the whole point of this conversation. And we'd look for something like this. And E. So C is not in unless the triangle is that tight. If this is the case, so I'll leave this one out. And then if we break the lows, I could kind of adjust it there. But so in that case, the C would be in. All right, so if we fidget around here in this little triangle, A, B, C, D, E, and then break down from there, that would be a breakdown of ascending triangle. All right, SMH. That's our look there. IWM. Excuse me. Still clearing up from the cold. Here's our, again, that 200 moving average. It's rejecting price, so that's IWM. DIA. Good evidence from the Mag 7 and DIA, the diamonds, and IWM with the wave 4. So it's giving us a clear wave 4. All right, this bear flag is starting to, act funny here. So we'll just leave it on there for now, but I don't trade the diamonds very much. VIX. Bullish falling wedge. So this, this price could fill out the wedge a little bit more. I don't have anything. I could lean this a little more this way. Catch some of those lows there. So that could be drawn out this way as well. So we'll see that. We'll keep an eye on that. If this breaks out, then we know what to do. All right. And I don't know if there's any positive divergence in this with this new low. Yeah, there is. All right, so we're getting this positive divergence in the VIX. I'm glad I looked at this. All right. And if you're new to the channel or new to trading, you can see that this arrow pointing up, we're getting higher lows in the MACD, but we're making lower lows in price action. Okay, that's a positive divergence there. And if price just kept going and dropped and broke down from levels and this made a new low, that's always a possibility. But for now, we do have this positive situation set up. And we have the tailwind behind us here. To the upside, we have the slow stoke that's cycling through to the upside. And let's go over to the mags. We'll end it here. So here's the 65-minute. We're looking at this channel. And again, just beautiful, beautiful holding here. And let's see if we close this gap here soon. If we get above, again, that's going to be very positive. It's going to start to bring the probability that we go higher at that point. So we'll keep an eye on that. We put a trade on Netflix too. I didn't. Might as well look at that real quick. Netflix, because we were looking at, if you watch the video from before earnings, we gave the scenarios that this might make a new high, and it certainly did. It barely, by a few pennies, but it did make a new high. And so even on the weekly time frame, it can go higher, of course. But we did put an in-out spread. They work very well for reversals as well. Okay, we did that with gold. We're doing that with Netflix. So it gives it plenty of time for price to go up a little bit higher. But we have the conditions. Look at that negative divergence here. And we finally, on the weekly time frame, got a negative divergence. And that's what we talked about in that video. So I'll post that video up here. We have the one at 19:30, and I'll put this one at 35 minutes. Sorry, it's such a long video here, but just fantastic information. So this is very important to get out there and take our time with this one. A few days ago, I was rushing some things and just trying to get through. I was limited in time, and so, but you know, saying over and over and over is necessary here on these videos to get our story out here. So there you go, negative divergence. We get how about the money flow? Negative divergence, big one there. So we'll see if that's the end of this trend. And that's it. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the Discord.